Okay, for those of you following along from home, we are about a third of the way through our day today. Today is day 3 of the combined IEA and IDA Dressage National Finals. We are currently
Well, we're back
rolling
on
into
track then
class
at, in
3
the dressage
team.
arena here as we make a start
Intermediate
with the
dressage
afternoon
test.
program.
First in the ring will be Pemberley Wright. She's number 612, riding for RCR Farms. She'll be aboard Gilligan, provided by Bankshire United. Arabella Ferris is on deck, and Sienna Peterson is in the hole. We have 12 riders to see in this class. Pemberley will be our first rider. If you would like to follow along with the dressage test, you can navigate to the IEA website. It is rideiea.org. And on our dressage page, we have links to all of our tests. You can navigate to that page, download the intermediate test, and follow along. We will be doing the novice test in about a couple of hours. So if you're around for that one, you can download that test too. But I find it fun to follow along. The dressage test is a series of movements that are associated with a letter, and these letters are placed around our show ring. And each movement has objectives related to it. So it will give you an idea of what you will be, what the judges are looking at for each of those movements. So it's fun. It's kind of a nice way to be able to follow along and keep yourself apprised of what is happening in the ring. So again, Pemberley Wright is in our holding area right now. So each of our IEA riders receives a 3-minute warm-up with their coach, where they can get to know their horse and receive some feedback, formulate a plan, and then they come into the show ring, but they stay outside the dressage square and they move around at will. And once they're in this ring, there is no more assistance allowed from their coaches, so they are on their own. Now, we do plenty of staff and horse providers down there that if the rider has an issue, they're there to assist, but the rider is currently considered to be in her test class. So the bell has rung for Pemberley. That is the signal from the judges that she has 45 seconds to enter the ring. The judges at the end of every dressage test need a minute or 2 or 3 to be able to finish up any remarks and do some math on those tests and make sure that the feedback coming back to those riders is accurate. So here we are.
And Pemberley off to a nice start, leading this class off. In our varsity intermediate dressage test, this is a walk, trot, canter class. This afternoon, we'll see our novice class, which is a walk, trot class. Dressage means training, and it is supposed to be about a progression of training both of the horse as well as the rider's skill set. So as we saw in our open riders this morning, they were asked to do things like lengthening the trot, do various forms of transitions. Here in intermediate, we're testing that the rider has a firm understanding of the basics here at the walk, trot, and canter gaits. So Pemberley here demonstrating a free walk where they're asked to allow the horse to stretch forward on a loose rein and ride off their seat and their leg to help keep that horse straight as they encourage it to stretch. These tests are mirror image, so what we saw Pemberley demonstrate to the right, now we will see here to the left work. If you're following along at home with the tests that were mentioned earlier, you'll see next to each movement there is a set of directives, and that is what the judges are looking for within that movement. So they're looking for accuracy, they're looking for circles that are circles and not ovals. At this level, we are looking that the rider is able to get the horse what we call on the bit. You see how Gilligan here has that nice arc through his neck and his head's down, and that's what we call coming round or being on the bit. Pemberley doing a nice job of also keeping Gilligan nicely active and forward, which is another skill set that we want to see these riders able to accomplish, is getting on, using their legs in order to keep these horses really marching nice and active.
Well, and I think the one of the hardest things to teach is that active halt,
Yes.
where the horse steps back into the halt.
Mm-hmm.
And stepping into the halt means they could step up into something else versus just slowly petering out their energy until they stop moving.
Exactly. So at the novice level, which we'll see this afternoon, the riders are allowed to have a few walk steps
Okay.
in and out of the halt.
Gotcha.
But here for the intermediate test, as well as the open test this morning, it's
We have
the
a multiple
expectation is that they
representatives
trot,
from
they halt,
RCR.
and they trot with
Yes.
no walk
They can
steps.
include
And that does
those
take a
with
lot
the
of
show
training
off.
and skill set to
Yeah.
be able to
Representative
keep
from
the horse
RCR.
balanced and
They can include
responsive for that skill
Their
set.
shot of me,
Gotcha.
please go
Yeah.
to the show office. Thank you
No, and
very
it makes
much.
sense, and that might be one of those things that they work on during that 3-minute warm-up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, super important. That 3-minute warm up is a lot of strategy goes into that warm up. So for me as a coach, as we do that, we have a plan, a baseline plan that we come into every show with. Like, here's your guys' warm up pattern. But if we end up drawing a horse that we're like, oh, this warm up might not fit them, like we need to practice a few more halts or a
Gotcha.
couple extra transitions, or if their horse description list says a little sticky on that right lead, we're going to start with that right lead canter transition and try to figure that one out.
Okay.
Because that 3 minutes does, well, we have 2 minutes regular season.
Yes.
It goes by pretty quick.
It really does. It really does. All right. Our next rider in the ring, moving around at will outside of the dressage square, is Arabella Ferris. She's number 383. She rides for RGB Equestrian, and she's aboard Alley, provided by the Greer School. All of our riders today are competing for their teams. So everyone you see, all of the teams competing, they qualified during the regular season and through postseason to be here this weekend to compete for top national honors. So the points that these riders are earning today will go up on a scoreboard, and those points will be added up and will determine placings. Arabella is our second of 12 riders to see in this class. Sienna Peterson is on deck Addie Reed is in the hole.
Arabella doing a nice job here navigating Allie through the test. And something that, um, is going through these riders' heads is how to navigate not just the tests that they have to have memorized here for postseason, but also how to progress and encourage the horse throughout the test. We saw Allie there take kind of a little look at our judge there at E. Arabella did a fantastic job of just encouraging Allie to relax and to be calm, and clearly did a nice job because here's that free walk. Allie took a breath, put her head down. So just having that confidence and that know-how to correct some of those moments that the horse might take a look or a peek at something shows a lot of maturity here out of Arabella as a rider.
And it also shows that Arabella very quickly connected with Allie early in the test,
Yes.
so that Allie has sort of built a little bit of rapport with Arabella at this point, so to be able to trust her enough to let her drop the reins and just use her seat and legs.
And that's such a cool part about IEA as a program is the program really is developing the future of the sport. As these horsemen and horsewomen are coming out here and able to adapt to any horse that they get on. It's not just I have my horse and I know how to ride my horse. These riders have to get on and ride horses that are smaller than they're used to, larger than they're used to, more powerful, slower, different shape, different headset, different way of going, bouncier for the intermediate and open riders. They have to sit the trot. There's so much variation in terms of what horses they may be asked to draw. And these riders have to adapt to that quite quickly and build that harmony with them. And looking at Allie there, comfortably going past our judge at E now, trusting Arabella into this final center line and halt.
Lovely job. Again, that was Allie, provided by the Greer School. Our next rider in the ring will be number 646, Sienna Peterson, riding for Las Vegas Blue Ribbon Dressage. She's aboard Lou, also provided by the Greer School, and you can see her on the camera. She is walking around outside of the dressage square.
Moving on to third ride in this class, here is 646.
Sienna is outside the square waiting for the judges to ring the bell and to signal her that they're ready for her to come in and perform her test. Addie Reed is on deck, Estella Smith is in the hole, and Sienna is our third of 12 riders in this class. Following this class, we will go directly into our varsity intermediate dressage seat equitation, followed by an award ceremony and a brief schooling of our novice and beginner horses.
And there is the bell for Sienna. In dressage, the riders have 45 seconds to get into the arena after the bell has signaled. Otherwise, they do risk being eliminated. But that 45 seconds, it really is a long time. It is enough time to get all the way around the dressage arena. So what our riders are doing after the bell is they're finalizing their thoughts, their plans, they're picking up the contact, picking up that trot, and they're planning a nice approach to enter at A in order to get on that center line. That judge at C is looking for a straight center line. They're looking at the rider's balance, because we are looking at equitation here at IEA. Equitation is how the rider sits on the horse, their balance and their position, as well as their overall effectiveness of the ride. Are they encouraging the horse to move appropriately and correctly? So that judge at C for that first center line is looking for straightness. They're looking for a halt that is still for at least 3 seconds. And that salute, it is the rider's very first presentation to the judge. So they want to plan that turn in at A and really attack that center line in order to say, hey, I am here to show you what I got, and really set that marker for a strong start to their test. We do have 2 judges with us here this weekend. You'll see the judge sitting at C. She is considered the lead judge. And then our judge at E. And both judges will judge independently of one another. So they will score the test based on where they're sitting and their perception. It's quite rare for both judges to have the exact same score. We do hope that they are within about 5% points of one another. Each movement is scored on a scale of 0 to 10, and some of those movements are worth double the points. So they are worth 20 points. They're called a double coefficient. And where the judge is sitting really can determine, if the rider scores higher there or lower there. The judge at E is going to be able to see, is the circle right in front of her round, or is it more oval shaped? Whereas that judge at C is going to be able to see straightness a lot better on the center line, as well as use of corners. So we may see some fluctuation in the scores based simply on where those judges are sitting. These scores are then average. So if a rider gets a 63 from the judge at C and a 65 from the judge at E, those are then averaged, and that is where we get our rider's overall score.
65.238.
Lovely job by Sienna Peterson today. The next in the ring is going to be Addie Reed. She's number 354. She rides for Talbot Run. She'll be aboard Kenny, provided by the Greer School. Addie is our fourth of 12 riders today in this class. Estella Smith is on deck. Megan Meha is in the hole. We have 12 total to see today. Following this class, we will go directly into our varsity our varsity intermediate dressage seat equitation class.
This Kenny creature can come home with me. He is stunning.
He is stunning. The turnout of the horses during this horse show over the last couple of days has been really impressive.
Yes.
And not just in a way that, like, the teams and the colleges that provided horses did a good job grooming them, but that these horses have actually had months, if not years, of proper care, so that they've got lovely coats, they have a bright disposition. I have yet to see a horse that didn't look like it was happy to do its job, which is rare at any horse show, right? It's rare to not see one horse that says, "Yeah, I don't feel like playing right now." And so that's. Yeah, you are okay. Yeah, and the sniffing. I do want you to.
Oh, no. Thank you. I know I can peace out at any point.
All right, Addie has made her way into the ring to center line to halt. Now, today we have two different judges, and they're sitting in two different locations. So we have one judge that sits at C, which is the letter exactly opposite the letter A that they enter. So when the rider first enters the ring, they're trotting straight at the judge, and they are being judged on their straightness and their squareness and their forwardness. The second judge is sitting at E, which is the 50-yard line of this ring. It's the view you're looking at right now is from Judge C. And so each judge gets a very different perspective of the horse. And in these dressage tests, when the judges do make remarks and give scores, they are recorded on their test, and the riders are able to take those tests with them when they leave this competition, which is a nice way for them to get lots of feedback.
Yeah, any score lower than a 6.5 is required
Okay.
to have a score. That's in just
Got you.
basic judges training.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
So if it's less than 6.5, you give them no score. Do you give them a
No,
0?
not a score. Sorry, comment. Oh,
Oh, a
man.
comment. Okay,
We're
good.
on
All
day
right.
3, people. I'm sorry.
No worries.
A comment, not
A
a
comment.
score.
Okay.
Lower than a 6.5 has to have a comment. And a 6 is about an average score.
Okay.
It's a good score to get. It's an okay score. And so, yeah, lots of feedback can happen within these tests. So if you're seeing a lot of average scores as a 63, 64 on the overall results page, just you can recognize that those riders are getting lots and lots of feedback from both judges to take and to then apply to their education, because our season starts back up in about 2 months.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. We are already working on next season.
And I love that.
It just overlaps.
Just know I am too.
Oh yes, yes. No, we're
Across
all
the
very
board.
busy.
So
Yes.
appreciative of the IEA staff, though, in the office. You guys work so hard for this program and for these kids. You can tell that your heart is really there to give these kids these opportunities. And that's something that I love promoting IEA, is that it's accessible for any
Yes.
youth rider, because
Yes.
you don't have to own a horse. You
Mhm.
don't have to take horses to the horse shows, load them up in a trailer, pay for shipping and tack. A lot of these riders lesson once or twice a week at their home barns.
That's
I know at
right.
our own place, 3 of the riders that I brought with us this weekend to National Finals, they work off a lot of their lessons and clean, tack, and groom, and kind of that quintessential barn rat, if I may say,
Yes. Yeah.
that hasn't died in this industry, and it's such a valuable thing to be able to provide these opportunities in this national final stage at
Yes.
Tryon International Equestrian
Yes,
Center for
absolutely.
them. It gives me goosebumps to think about all the opportunities for these guys.
Yeah, and the overall goal is to make the horse competition accessible to the kids. And when we designed the dressage tests, they were designed with the average horse in mind. We did test them. We originally started out trying to use the USEF tests,
Hello, Eddie Reed there with
and
Kenny.
after using them in the
At this
competition
point, I'll
and
be the
gaining
horse
feedback, we realized that
DNFT.
they were more than our kids really needed.
Of the judges,
And so the dressage tests are actually
C64.52. Of the
designed
referees,
so that the
63.
average horse, your
133.
average horse that you have in your program that maybe doesn't
Overall
show,
score,
maybe isn't a great dressage prospect for conventional horse shows,
63.929.
but it can absolutely do the novice test and allow that rider to show their skill set.
Definitely, some of
Yeah.
our best novice horses for that walk trot test, they are performance horses. They
Yes.
are our 4-H, our high school equestrian team. We have another organization in Washington for youth. That is what they do. Our hunters, anytime we're planning regional or zone finals, I'm calling our hunt seat teams and saying,
Yeah.
hey, I need your steady eddies because they are willing partners. They
Yes.
listen to the riders. They can sometimes take a joke.
That's correct.
And that is definitely needed for this. So
Yeah.
yeah, we don't some of the dressage horses
And
on
we're
like
circling down to the end of the
traditional
arena.
dressage
Our next
horses,
to go will
they
be
actually have a harder
473.
time
This
with
is
IEA
shuttle
because
split.
Absolutely.
they almost have too
Shuttle
many
riding
buttons.
in Indian
Yes.
supervised by
Yes,
country springs.
exactly. All right.
473.
473 is joining us in the ring next. 473 is Estella Smith. She rides for the Scottsdale Equestrian Team. She is aboard Nariti, provided by Country Springs. And Nariti was one of those horses. She won a class yesterday. And all of our horses here at the finals that win a class, their rider wins the class, they also receive a cooler and a ribbon as a thank you. We have lots and lots of coolers that were given out yesterday. And we've got a couple of horses that have won more than one cooler. So Estella is just waiting for that bell. And she's heading up center line. Oh, no. So outside the ring, the horses are setting the horses up, getting the correct pace, establishing a good connection. And as they approach the in gate, they want their horses to be really straight to start so that when they enter, they are trotting straight at that judge. The final halt at the end of this test is the turn is made inside the ring. The turn's a little bit tighter. It's easier to have errors, and so you really get to know the skill set of a rider by watching them set up their center lines, the way they set their horses up for success by being straight in the first place. So Estella Smith is our 5th of 12 riders today in this class. Megan Maya is on deck, and Caitlin Dietrich is in the hole.
Diarrhea tea here provided by Country Springs. Great opportunity to kind of showcase what we were talking about earlier about the variety of horses that we have here at IEA Finals and how quickly the riders have to adapt. I know this horse quickly became a fan favorite the first day. They're absolutely stunning, Frisian cross, and big, powerful horse. And if Estella comes back this afternoon or tomorrow, I'm not sure if she's riding again, but she may draw, something much smaller with a different skill set of aids that are required. but Estella and Ariti having quite a nice test thus far. So they're at about the halfway point of their test. That free walk typically happens halfway through. That free walk is not a break. It's not a walk break in the middle of the test. It is one of the harder movements to show because you have to keep the horse straight, you have to keep them marching, and keep their focus, but on a longer rein. Then here as you collect the reins back up to go back into the medium walk, making sure that that horse doesn't trot off or anticipate the trot transition that's coming up next. So the rider in that free walk will take the time to catch their breath and focus on what's to come, but ultimately it is a pretty important skill set there within this test.
I think one of my favorite aspects of the dressage test on this level is that the dressage tests have a set of movements in one direction and then they change direction and it's the same set of movements.
Yeah, it makes it easier to memorize for sure.
Okay.
You know, like I said earlier, the riders can have a reader during regular season, but then they do for postseason have to have it memorized. And pattern memorization can be really hard for anybody at any age.
Yes.
And then you add the pressure of riding a horse you don't know in an environment like a horse show,
Yes.
and it can be really tricky. So having those mirrored patterns are quite helpful. But also, from a rider's perspective, it's helpful to be able to think about how the first work went. You know, oh, I collapsed my circle to the left. I know I have one more opportunity to show the judge that I recognize that I collapsed that circle. And I
Yes.
know I need to add a little bit more steering to the
Gotcha.
mix
Yeah.
to correct that circle next time around. And so you can show improvement throughout. The judges hope to see improvement and they will reward that. So if your circle to the right is better, so your second circle is better than the first circle, you will score higher on that. The judges remember your first circle and they'll score your next one better.
595, that's top of the board after 4 scores
And then it
have been
feels good
posted.
to get those scores back and say, wow, I really felt like my second circle I improved. And go,
Mhm.
wow, I got a 6 on the first one, but an 8 on the next
Yeah,
one. So you
exactly.
say, cool, okay, what I felt matches what the judges saw.
Number 109,
Yeah,
that's
and dressage is about constant progression. When you look at them overall and the interactions with the riders and things like that, dressage seems to be the most user friendly.
Yes.
From the fact that the tests are clearly outlined with objectives, to this idea that dressage builds on itself, and so you sort of develop a skill set, and then you can build on that, but you cannot move on until you have developed that skill set. And
Yes.
sometimes that skill set takes a month, and sometimes it takes 6 months, and sometimes it takes a year, and you just want to move on, and you can't because you are still working on a skill set. Everybody progresses at their own pace.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's really fantastic. Yesterday we had a child that accidentally came into center line to start her test before they rang the bell. Something happened out in the warm-up area, and she thought she heard the bell. The judge was so kind, just kind of, said, we're not quite ready, head back out. We've seen it today. We've seen the kids go off patterns. The first time they go off their test pattern, it's only 2 points, and the judge will ring the bell and tell you where to go back to start. And if you do it again, it is 4 points, and if you do it again, there are more points, and then at that point they eliminate you from the class. But the goal is to just score better on your test than you did last time, not to win the class, and those are two
Yes.
very different objectives.
Very much so, and recognizing that every judge has their own set of parameters
Yep.
and philosophy for their judging. But these judges go through rigorous training,
Mm-hmm.
starting out
That's true.
through USDF at the L program,
Mm-hmm.
and then they have to ride at that specific level, and then they go to classes, and then they have to sit with judges who are at the level that they want to become. So these judges who are sitting here with us, they have put years and years and years into
Yes.
training to be here representing our sport as officials.
Yes. Yeah,
So we
absolutely.
definitely we trust their judgment.
Hmm.
It's pretty difficult to kind of argue with the judge's eye in dressage because of how much training they go through
Yes,
and
exactly.
how they have continuing education that's
Hmm.
required of them every
Yes.
year. So once you become a large R judge or an S judge, you're not just the top, and we got to just sit there at the top because
Hmm.
we're an accomplished judge. No, they have required
Absolutely.
continuing education. They have conferences. So
Hmm.
these two are a wealth of knowledge, and these riders are quite blessed to be able to ride in front of them.
Yes, yes, exactly. Judges put a lot of time and money into getting
Yes, it's
themselves
expensive.
certified. So it is a serious thing. When you meet an S judge, the judges we have today are both S rated through US EF, and that means that they can judge the top level Grand Prix competitions here in the US. And so these are judges that have so much knowledge behind them, which means these riders are walking away with really unique feedback, right? You don't often
Yes.
get in front of an S judge.
No,
So,
no, because at the local level, our judges, our large R and our S judges, they're very busy because there's so
yeah,
few of them
absolutely.
available. So to have them judge our regular season show is quite rare. We have what we call learner judges or L
Yes.
judge graduates. So they've been through the fundamental training program, which is a two-part series that judges go through. So the first part is the education series, and then the second part is the testing series,
Okay.
which accumulates at our test, the final test, where we sit and we judge a certain number of tests at the training first and second level. And then we're actually scored about as to how close our scores are to the two test proctors. So we
Got you.
have
Okay.
large RS judges who are on the L judge faculty. They are also scoring those tests that
Oh,
we're
wow.
also scoring.
Okay.
And you have to be within a certain percentage
Oh,
of their scores
wow.
in order to pass the program.
That's really impressive.
It's
And
terrifying.
I I know, but anything worth doing, right, is
It is, it is. I
terrifying.
went through the program last year
Okay.
and completely invaluable. I love judging, but from a coach perspective, from a trainer
Okay.
perspective, having that education and that skill set just made all of us in the program feel that much better prepared to
Yes.
offer the services that we do as a coach and a trainer. Yeah, it was quite cool. I definitely recommend it to anybody who's really passionate about dressage.
Hmm.
Just another one of those great opportunities for these riders who want to have a career with horses.
Yes.
Maybe not sure they want to do, ride professionally,
Hmm.
compete professionally. There's so many options out there in equine careers. We've got the career fair happening right now, or the college
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
So the college fair is out there in the vendor row today. Lots of representation, talking to riders about equine studies programs and the
Mm-hmm.
programs that they have at their school, also for competition like IDA and IHSA.
Yes. Yeah, and for those of you watching at home, if you're not here, we actually have three series webinar that we did on collegiate riding, beginning with what is it to go to a school and join a riding team, to the actual equine studies, and how the general process. We have some wonderful college representatives on the webinars
And
with
our
us,
scores in
and they talk
for
about their
Stella
specific schools
Smith,
and
who's
also
now
speak in
moved to the top of
generalities.
the leaderboard.
And that
From the
information is on
judges,
we have an education and
667.381.
video
From the
page on the
judges,
IEA website. So it was a
65.952.
beautiful job by
This
Megan
is
here.
the
Again,
overall
Megan was on
scoring currently
CAS,
in
provided
the
by
score
Otterbein University.
66,
Our next rider in the ring will
667.
be Caitlin Dietrich. She rides for Hidden Creek Equestrian Team. She'll be aboard Gilligan, provided by Bankshire United. She's number 539. Caitlin is our seventh of 12 riders that we will see today.
And now for 539 next, Caitlin Dietrich will come down center line, riding Gilligan.
Not to draw attention away from dressage and those watching at home, but as you can see in the background, there is another arena there just behind Caitlin, and that's where our hunt seat competition is taking place. So our IEA dressage finals are happening at the same time as our hunt seat finals. And so the class going on over there is our varsity open championship class, where the top riders in every zone in that open class were automatically invited to come and compete in the varsity open championship. So it's a pretty exciting class to be watching. And then two additional riders are invited back to compete at it based off of their performance yesterday in that open division. Caitlin and Gilligan off to a nice start. Here on their 20-meter circle to the right. So our dressage arenas are 20 meters in width. This is a large dressage arena, so it'll be 20 by 60 meters long. And a little bit later, we will be heading into our novice division where we will see the arena shortened to a 20 meter by 40 meter court. And the size of the arena is based on the skill set that's being performed in the test. The novice and intro-level tests are walk trot, and sometimes navigating that test at kind of the baseline level, it's often easier in a smaller arena. So just setting our riders up for success, offering them the opportunity to show in that 20 meter by 40 meter arena later on this afternoon. But with the canter work and the transitions that are asked here at the intermediate level, having the opportunity to show that 20 meter by 60 meter arena gives the riders a chance to prepare, have time between movements, and really showcase their skills. As was mentioned earlier, all of the winning horses this weekend also get awarded some generously donated coolers and a blue ribbon, something that the horse providers certainly look forward to. In addition to each class winner receiving a prize, the judges do get a vote on the best test horse and the best DSE horse over the weekend. And those horses will receive additional prizes and awards, and definitely some extra treats at home on their way back to their farms, probably on Monday. We also have some generous sponsorships from breed organizations. So we have the APHA, the Arab Horse, Half Arab, as well as the Thoroughbred Incentive Program, all sponsor High Point Awards for the best horse of their breed through their registry. So lots of support going out for our horses because definitely without them we could not be here. So we appreciate all of our horse providers as well as the horses for working so hard this weekend. Gilligan definitely showcasing a kind, willing mount and getting Caitlin, you're working with Caitlin in this test. And that final halt salute for Caitlin Dietrich from Hidden Creek Equestrian Team in Zone 2.
The judge at E65-238. Overall score, the best we've seen so far in this class for Megan, 67-738.
Next up, we will see Dana Julian from Greer School, Zone 2. Dana will be aboard Alley, provided by the Greer School. On deck, we have Emily Stanfield. In the hole, Sadie Starrett. See Dana there, walking around, waiting for the bell. Following the bell, she'll have 45 seconds to enter the arena to start her test.
12:37 next, Dinah Julian and Ali. Ali provided school.
And Dana, representing Greer School, down the center line, aboard Alley. So today's tests are the team competition. So these riders were chosen by their coaches and their teams to represent their school or their team for this competition. And a lot goes into that thought process, I feel like. It's not just who scored best or rode best. For our team, I do often take into account what the team feels. So the riders that work hard and are volunteering at the shows maybe have been awarded the sportsmanship um, award at regular season shows. A lot goes into that decision. Obviously, we want to put our strongest foot forward because it is a competition, but these team riders have definitely earned their spot here, regardless of how the team has selected it. So I feel like sometimes that team competition can maybe come with a little bit more pressure than the individual day competition because you are representing your team and it's a different dynamic than regular discipline competition where you're working with you and your horse to compete and to win. Here it becomes a team sport, which is an oddity in this industry.
It is, it really is. But and along with the team sport, it's not just these kids are on a team. And so, for all intents and purposes, the riders in this class today have been chosen by their trainers to represent them in this class. Like they are saying, you go out there and you earn us points so we can get an award. And that's important. It's an honor to be chosen as a team rider. It comes with a lot of responsibilities, but if you have the right team, you also have that peer support waiting for you outside the ring, and that is invaluable invaluable to have your peers. Not only are you in a place to be supported by your peers, but you can support them. And we
Exactly.
don't usually get that in this individual sport.
No,
Usually it's
not
you
at
and your
all.
horse. You might be there with just the other kids from your farm,
Yep.
but you're not really part of a team. It's very, you ride at 7:30 and then you ride at 9:30, and they might show up to, but it's not the same.
No,
So,
it's not.
yeah. And the IEA shows the whole program itself really fosters a community effort in order to be successful. In order to give our kids the best rides and the best chance of getting to national finals, you need to put your best foot forward. There's a fair amount of volunteerism in the IEA, not just straight volunteers, but trainers and coaches and adult members who spend a lot of unpaid time
Very much
participating in this
so.
program. Yeah.
Yeah, because every team, minus brand new teams, are required to host
Yes,
shows. They are
exactly.
required to host an opportunity for these riders to earn
That's
points, to
correct.
earn their way here to national finals. Every zone and every region has a chairperson
Yeah.
that helps coordinate postseason, as well as
Yes.
helps coordinate and handle the logistics and the
That's
admin
right.
within
Yeah.
the region and the zone. And they're volunteers as well. And we definitely want to foster that within our riders also, that they don't get to
Yes.
just show up and
And
ride
disclosed now
a
for
horse
recognition
and
T6
move on and go to the next
from
show.
the judges
These kids work so hard,
65714.
cleaning
The
stalls,
judges
taking
So
care of the
hard.
horses at
Yes.
shows, running
6810
ribbons, running
in the
food to
total score
officials,
Yes.
all those little
64762.
dynamics that go into these events. We're trying to foster that ownership within our
Yes.
members to accomplish that. So we haven't really had a lot of good zoom ins of the gate area, but oh, there's one. He read my
I
mind.
know, it's scary.
But you see all those people standing back there. Every horse has to have a holder. We've got
Yes.
somebody
Down the
picking
center line
feet.
with a full
There's
ride to
people
come.
sweeping,
Yeah.
and the barns are just buzzing with
5460
activity.
is
Stalls being
Yes.
fed or
Emily
cleaned,
Worldwide
horses being
Riverside.
fed, water buckets being filled,
Of the
all of
Greater
which are
School
being
Horses
done
Factory
not
Ribbon.
necessarily by the horse providers, but
Yes, it's
by
true. That's
volunteers who
right.
came here
Yeah.
and want to take ownership in this event.
Yeah. And our volunteers receive T-shirts. We appreciate their time. We want them to be recognized. Oftentimes, our sportsmanship winners and our volunteer winners, they come out of those people that have spent, days out and about just helping us out, because they love the IEA. So,
Yep. And that's a great thing that we'll discuss once we introduce Emily here.
yes, yeah. So next up in the ring is Emily Stanfield. She's number 460. She rides for the Duzan Equestrian Team, and she's aboard Lou, provided by the Greer School. Emily is our ninth of 12 riders expected in this class. Sadie Sterrett is on deck. Mariette McGinnis is in the hole, and then Annalie will complete our class.
So, in addition to encouraging, an accessible competition
yeah.
platform for these riders, the IEA wants to help develop overall horse
That's
people.
correct.
So we do have the sportsmanship award that goes out at every regular season show, as well as postseason shows, like here at National Finals.
Yep.
Then there's an overall national sportsmanship recipient
There
as
is.
well, which comes along with a pretty great scholarship
Yeah,
and other
it's a
great
national
prizes.
sportsmanship award. Yeah, so if a rider wins the the sportsmanship award at a regular season show, and they don't have to be riding, and they actually just need to be a youth member, so they could be a junior contributing member. If they win the award, we track all of that. At the end of the season, we send them out a letter and a patch, and we invite them to apply for the National Sportsmanship Award. And it requires a lot of documentation, from their grades to essays to recommendations and so forth. But for the most part, it is associated with a scholarship, which is really fantastic. And that is separate from the sportsmanship award that we will give out at this horse show. So there will be a rider sportsmanship that'll be chosen at this show for each discipline, and those riders will also be invited to apply for that national award. So it's pretty special.
So tell me, who picks the sportsmanship award?
So right now the recommendation is that the steward chooses the sportsmanship award. We solicit nominations throughout the day. We really prefer to receive a nomination for somebody who's there at the show, who is they're being nominated because of their efforts at the show. So it's typically I steward quite a few horse shows. I will get oftentimes just get a scrap of paper with somebody's name on it, and sometimes I get an entire essay, about why they believe they should get the sportsmanship award, which is super helpful. It's also helpful when I get them earlier in the day because it gives us an opportunity to kind of keep an eye out for those sportsmanship nominations throughout the day. So even though I am relegated to my chair a little bit watching the ring, I do get out and about. I do watch. I see the kids coming in and out with the horses. So it is nice to be able to identify those kids early. And I've had horse shows where I've only received one nomination. We also have a nomination form that we put up on the IEA website that show hosts can print and put in a packet for the coaches so that they're sort of prompted. But there is no restriction. There is no restriction on how many people a coach can recommend or how many team can recommend. It's very much open. And in fact, we used to have a sportsmanship competition at National Finals that was run a little differently. Each coach chose their sportsmanship nominee, and that person wore a white armband for the entirety of the horse show.
I remember that.
Remember? And so only the people who had that sportsmanship band on were able to actually win the sportsmanship award. And unfortunately, there were so many riders who were out there helping because they wanted to help that weren't necessarily their sportsmanship. So we did, after a lot of discussion, we realized it's just not terribly fair. It's easy, it's much more fair to do it the other way. So, but in the meantime, we have, added in a coach sportsmanship award as well as a volunteer award. I really feel like at this point we could I just feel like all of our volunteers,
Everybody
yes.
deserves recognition, and
Yes.
very much so.
Yeah. I've been here since Sunday, and I can honestly tell you that I could not have done the things I did, and we would not be where we are right now without literally the hundreds of people that showed up to volunteer
Yes.
before this horse show started. Checked in, we've had a volunteer table, we've had a volunteer sign up for a couple of months now, and we just have people that are in the Tryon area that find out we're having a horse show that reach out to us and say, hey, can I come volunteer?
Oh, how fun.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
really
it's-
cool. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, a lot of people really believe in the program, but they don't know how to get involved, and so usually that's how I usually try to send them to their zone administrator, or somewhere along those lines. Beautiful job by Emily. Emily is our 9th of 12 riders. Next in the ring will be Sadie Sterrett. She is number 630. She rides for Country Springs Stables, and she will be aboard Kenny, provided by the Greer School.
From the judge at E, 65,952, and an overall score of 66,905.
Sadie is our 10th of 12 riders today to go. Mariette McGinnis is on deck, so she's out there doing her 3-minute warm-up right now. And then Annalie is in the hole. So
We have 3 rides to
The-
come for the
horse and rider that are just outside the ring right now on your video screen, that is Sadie. So she has completed her 3-minute warm-up, and now she is in sort of a holding area at the end of our ring, and she's walking at will. She is allowed to move around if she wants to, but she is not allowed any more feedback from her coach. So she's on her own from here going forward. In dressage competition, we are not allowed any outside assistance. During the regular season, we do allow readers. So we do allow someone who is not the coach to stand outside the ring and read the test to the rider. It can be a bit nerve-wracking, but at National Finals, we expect the kids to come in memorizing that test. So it does take quite a bit of fortitude to be able to sit on a horse that you have never met before and perform a test that you have memorized in a ring with no other people in it. You are the sole focus of the 2 judges that are here judging you today. So 2 judges here today. As Sadie enters the ring and she comes straight at the camera, there is a judge sitting there. So there is a judge, that's the letter C. There's a judge sitting at C, and there's also a judge sitting at E. E is at the 50-yard line. So when Sadie comes into the ring to start her test, she will trot up center line in a straight line, and she will halt at X, which is directly between E and B. So it's the very center of the ring. And so she has a judge. She will have a judge directly to her left. So the judge in front of her is going to be able to judge certain aspects of her ride. The judge to the side of her will see a whole different perspective. So it looks like the bell has rung for Sadie. She is heading into the ring. Again, she's aboard Kenny, provided by the Greer School. 3 more to go.
And Sadie having a nice start to her test here aboard Kenny. So it makes IEA and IDA competition a little different from our USDF, so the United States Dressage Federation, or our FEI, so the International Dressage Federation, is that these riders are being judged on equitation. They're being judged on themselves, pretty much, their position, their balance, how well they work with the horse. And at the end of every dressage test is what we call the collective marks. These are the judge's overall opinion.
Or are getting something to eat. There's plenty of food and water. They already work hard enough. We want to make sure that and we've got, there is a table out in that holding area for people that are, the kids that are holding horses out there that have food and water on them, which is really important.
Really well taken care of.
Really well, the hospitality is fantastic here.
Yep. And then our youth boards, our National Youth Board, it's comprised of one representative from every zone. And they have in kind of what would I call it, the picture area there in the horse holding area where riders can get a picture with their horse, hopefully, or at least pose their with themselves and their prizes. There's a We Love Our Horses banner.
Yes.
And riders are encouraged to write thank you notes to the horse provider as well as their horse and say who their favorite horse at National Finals is. Sometimes it might not even be the horse you rode. It ends up being the horse that you held.
That's right.
Whose stall you cleaned. So lots of love going out for our volunteers and our horses.
We could not have a horse show without them.
Nope. And these horses really are special. We keep talking about them, but Nairita, you can see here, clearly a very well-trained horse, knows its job, does a nice, kind, willing, but still quite athletic performance.
Yes, for sure.
And they don't have to do that for ride after ride after ride. So these horses really, truly are something special. It takes something unique for a horse to willingly go 4 days in a row under a multitude of different riders and continue to perform well.
That's correct. Yeah. And the one thing, it's very rare to go to any horse competition and see 100% of the horses enjoying their job. 100% of the horses going around with their ears up, willingness to work, and really want to respond to their rider. And our horses care and their needs are at the utmost importance. And so when a horse is well cared for, they're happy to work. And I can comfortably say that since we started competition on Thursday, I've not seen one horse that looks like it would really rather be anywhere else.
I agree. They are still day 3. They're enthusiastically hitting that center line with their ears up.
Yes.
And it's pretty Pretty
Yeah,
great.
it is pretty great. And so during the regular season, we do put a restriction on how often you can use a horse in an IEA competition. The standard is 6 to 8 rides, no more than 8 rides at any IEA competition. There needs to be some pretty extreme reasons for using a horse a ninth time. The only exception is in our walk trot classes. So if your horse has done, I think, 4 walk trot classes on the schedule, they can be in for 10 rides because that walk trot class does have so much less work involved. And those walk trot horses are sort of really invaluable. It's very hard to find a good quality walk trot horse. So, but here at National Finals, we tend to use them a little less. It's a really long weekend. We try to plan for more horses than we would need at a regular show. It is 4 straight days.
Yep.
So they need to do less work.
So how many horses do you guys have?
We have about 150.
That's a lot of
It is a lot
horsepower
of
back there.
horses. Yes, it is. All right, our last rider in this class is going to be Anna Lee. She's number 377. Anna Lee rides for Central Indiana Equestrian Team. She's riding to earn points for their team board today. She's aboard CAS, provided by Otterbein University. Anna Lee is the final rider in this class. At the completion, we will roll directly into our intermediate dressage seat equitation class.
Being team day today, we will see quite a few riders that we did see for our dressage test
That's
coming
right,
back
yeah.
for the DSC.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty common that a coach may just have one rider
Yes.
represent both classes at national finals because it is an expense to
It
get
is,
here,
yes.
and quite often that expense does fall on the riders to get here.
That's
Riders and teams do their best to fundraise.
Mhm.
A great opportunity that IEA does provide is the Muzzy Farms travel grant.
Yeah, yep. Muzzy
Um,
Farms donated a sizable donation to help our kids get to national finals.
Yeah, and so those riders apply. They send in a letter of recommendation from their coach. They send in an essay talking about themselves and fill out that application. And parents do have to provide proof of need,
Yes,
which is,
yep.
yeah, it's really set aside for those riders who maybe would not have the opportunity to
That's
be
right.
here.
Yeah, that's right. And if we even back up further into the season, every August we collect applications for essentially financial aid. So the IEA has a benevolent fund. We are a nonprofit. We have a benevolent fund. It has 2 main goals at the moment. We have rider scholarships that actually they are need-based, and they do provide funds for the rider to not only cover their entry fees at the competitions, but also will cover a portion of their lessons. They must be sponsored by their coach, but those riders oftentimes get a full scholarship for the season. And if they go into postseason, they also get additional funds to help, to kind of help support that effort. The other aspect of the benevolent fund is our coach assistance grant, and so oftentimes we've had coaches that have had life happenings that greatly impact their business, and we want to help support them through that. So we do have a grant that is an application based. Typically, somebody else in the IEA will fill out the application for that coach and put in a recommendation and send in some sort of proof of need, and those needs are met all throughout the year, so those can be applied for at any time. So it's important to us that we make the sport as accessible as possible.
That's so wonderful.
It really is. It really is. And we find every year the support for our riders from other organizations like Muzzy Farms does, they want to help us in our mission. I really enjoyed watching this test. She did a really beautiful job with this horse.
Yes, she did.
This again is Kaz. He's provided by Otterbein University, and just one of 6 stellar horses that they brought for us to use this weekend. beautiful job. All right.
And Anna giving big pets to big,
Yes,
well-deserved pets to
that's
cats.
correct. Yeah. All really fantastic horses. And we can say that the horses are well cared for while they're here, but you can look at the horses and you can tell that they're well cared for.
Yeah.
Because by day 3, if a horse's needs have not been met at a horse show, they don't look as pleasant anymore. It starts to wear on them. They may have a sense of humor for the first day or two,
Yep.
but as you go into the week, that horse starts to be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And they're unhappy. So, like I said, our horse providers are the hardest working. They're out there grazing their horses in between classes. They're getting them
Yes.
out of the barn and out of their stalls. The other wonderful thing about this facility is that it's all connected indoors. So the barns are directly connected to this indoor. So our horses can come in and they can go into their stalls, and there could be a tornado outside and torrential downpour, and they are not having to go out into the weather and manage that in addition
Yes.
to, because days can get really long, right? And
Yes, they
we do have people out in the paddock area with the horses, and they keep track of the horses' schedule. And the horses are used, and then they are sent back for a break, and they can maybe come back in a little bit for another class. But they do try to manage those horses out there so that they're just not sitting out there for hours and hours waiting for their next class.
Yep. Nope.
Yeah.
Send them back for water breaks and for
Yes.
snack breaks.
Yeah.
And a true testament to our horse providers and horses is this is the second year we're here at Tryon.
Yes,
And
a
there's
lot of them are
lot
repeats.
of repeat players
Yes.
and a lot of fan favorites from last year.
Yeah, it is
we
true.
pulled in on Thursday, and my girls were like, "Oh, Mr. T's here.
Yes,
Bojay's
I
here.
know,
Oh,
I
I
know.
remember that horse."
Yeah, it's so fun. It's so fun. I recall I've been to a couple of horse shows, and I brought my daughter with me, and we pull in, and it turns out that she is friends on social media with other people that are at that show. She's never met them in person, but through IEA, she has sort of been connected with them, and then, they kind of get to know each other, and she would just go off and
That's
go
so
find her friend.
fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
I love that camaraderie.
Yeah, it really is, because there's only so many blue ribbons,
Yes.
and it has to be everything else that comes with it.
For sure, yeah. Last night we had the parade of teams.
Yep.
And my favorite game every year is the Meet Someone New.
Absolutely.
So Roxanne was out there saying, hey, if you're a first time Nationals qualifier, if you're an 8th time or 7th time National
Yes.
qualifier, come meet people. And just building that organization, that camaraderie, and that friendship across the board. One of my best friends I see once a year here at National Finals at the back
Yes.
gate, Lisa Powers, and just a wonderful person.
Yes.
She's over there working, being our horse runner for
Yeah.
the dressage side.
She has the most amazing. So today is Barbie theme day for anyone at home that doesn't know. We have themes every day. So yesterday was hometown or college representation. Thursday was Taylor Swift's Era Day. There was hundreds, if not thousands, of friendship bracelets being
So
exchanged on
many.
Thursday. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. Today's Barbie Day, and so we've got all sorts of Barbie. Accessories. We've got people in full Barbie from head to tail. We've got Ken, if anybody has been watching the Hun Seat Ring, our horse show manager is dressed like Ken, and he
Skater
is just.
Ken. Like we've got to make sure it's like the roller skate,
It-
fluorescent.
Yes, it is the
Yes.
neon 80s skater Ken is
Yep.
what he is. And he's in there leading the varsity open in their, in their walk into the ring during their introductions that we did for them today. And, you can have a horse show and you can have a sense of humor at the same time.
And that helps keep it real for these
Absolutely.
kids. It's such a
Yep.
high intensity platform
That's
for
right.
them at such
That
a
is
young
right.
age to be showing on.
Yes.
This is,
Yes.
for some, the closest to the Olympics they
Absolutely.
will ever get.
Correct.
And we want them to have that feel coming into this. And you'll see just in the decorations and the banners and the sponsorships and the prizes
It's true.
how special this event is.
It really is.
But having these theme days and having the show management and the coaches participate, the youth board participate it does kind of relieve some of that stress and that pressure.
It really does.
And just make it that much more special. In addition to the sportsmanship and the volunteer volunteer awards, there's a team spirit award as well. And
Yes.
there's always, the heavy players every year with some of the teams. Lisa's one of those heavy players that
Yes, she
always
is. Yeah.
brings it out for her crew. Greer always is
Yes.
decked out and super fun to watch.
Yep.
And every year going into the parade of teams, I'm like, oh, what's Greer going to wear this year? Because they knock it out of the park. And let me tell you, last night there wasn't a team out there that didn't have fun coming up with a group idea. It was pretty great.
Yeah, yeah. And what's a lot of fun is as we get, a lot of people traveled here. They get on planes. Um, they got on planes to come here, so bringing costumes and things like that is not always feasible. But yesterday, as I was announcing the teams coming in for the parade of teams, there were teams there that literally went and arts and crafts themselves a banner so that they could have something to walk into the ring with. People, I know there are teams here that came here and went directly to Party City from the airport to here so that they could pick up their outfit. It's a lot of fun. We've got some
We went
VIP
to Target.
seating.
I had my shopping
Exactly.
list. I knew what I had to
Yes.
get over here.
Yes, exactly, exactly. We have directly to our left. You can see when the other camera is on. We've got some VIP tables, and we have table decorating contests. And if you're out in the vendor area, we've got lots of photo opportunities and activities for the kids. Where are you coming from? There we've got a huge thank you card set up. So we try to keep activities because the riding portion doesn't really take very long. There is a lot of downtime at these
So
horse
much
shows.
of hurry up and
Yeah,
wait.
hurry up and wait.
My favorite activity is the Why We Ride banner. I sat
Yes.
there and read that for 5 minutes this
Yeah.
morning. Just all the riders are encouraged to sign it with
Yes.
why they IEA, like what's their favorite aspect of
Mm-hmm.
it. And it's everything from camaraderie. I love horses. I love the traveling. I love
Yes.
my teammates.
Yep, yeah, it's so true. All right, so we are currently waiting to start our varsity intermediate dressage seat equitation class. This is a team class. It looks like the riders are now lined up at the in gate. We're just waiting for them to be introduced into the ring. They will come in. We're expecting 12 riders. All 12 will come in. They will come into this large dressage square. This short white fence is 60 meters long by 20 meters across. It's called a large square or a large court. If you're following along at home and you want to see sort of how the court is set up, you can just Google dressage court or dressage square, and you'll get several options for images that come up, and then you'll have an idea of how these letters impact the tests that we have. So the riders will come into the square. They're going to move around at the walk and trot. The judges are giving them scores for their gaits, for their transitions. They will all work together in both directions at the walk and trot. And then the judge will split the class in half. Half the class will leave the square and wait down in front of that National Finals sign while the 6 horses in the square canter, and that gives the judges an opportunity to give them a little bit more individualized attention and making sure that things are safe. 12 horses cantering in a ring at a time can be busy, and it can be hard to really give everyone a fair look without having them canter for 10 minutes, which is an awful long time to canter. So we split them in half. It is safer. And overall, it's been a pretty positive experience throughout this entire horse show. So we do have 12 riders in this class. At the completion of this class, we are going to have an award ceremony and then a brief schooling of all of our novice and beginner horses, and then we will go directly into the Intercollegiate Dressage Association intro DSE class, their group class, and then we will come back to our JV novice test class. So that novice test class is available up on our website. The schedule has the novice test starting around 2 o'clock. I anticipate that is going to be a little bit later than 2, but maybe not much later. So about 2 o'clock to start that JV novice dressage test class. accidentally set up the flash test. Of course, it's 3 o'clock, so the California West Coast. It's perfect. Oh, she's already on.
Let's go truck riders or short on rising.
So we do have our two judges today, as we've said. And for DSC, it's not scored per movement because there isn't per movement available. So the judge's score sheet will have a spot for each rider. Then there's a walk score, a trot score, and a canter score, and then any additional notes that they want to see. Each of those gates is scored on a scale of 0 to 10, and the judges will give each rider a score one direction, a score the other direction, then they'll average that. And then we'll see our judges come together, and then they go over their scores quite quickly and they pin the class together. And so that's how these scores are, or these classes are judged.
Yes, and having two judges means that the riders are exposed the entire time that they're in the ring. So oftentimes at a horse show, um,
And let's come back to the walk, please. Let's all walk for a minute.
You'll have just one judge.
yes, apologies.
Yeah,
Yes, I
that's
I
okay.
get distracted. Yes, you will have just one judge, and so the riders should keep track of where the judge is, and then if they know they're behind the judge's back, if they need to make an adjustment that maybe they don't want to do in front of the judge, they can do that when they know they're behind the judge's back.
Yes.
But in this case, oftentimes we have riders that maybe know that their reins are twisted, or maybe there is something that is happening with their jacket, or maybe they really need to give that horse a big squeeze. And so oftentimes they will wait until they're not in the judge's eye line, right, to be able to do things like
those
that.
little adjustments.
Yes. In this case, they are not. Now, the riders do not receive feedback from this class. This is just the notes are done internally as they determine the placings for this class. But they are being seen by two perspectives, which can be a huge benefit. For one judge to see one error with one rider could be a detriment in that class. But in a class like this where you've got two judges, we have more chances of them picking out all of the great things that they're doing.
Exactly. And the fixes, right?
And the fixes, exactly.
So if they
Yep.
did pick up a wrong posting diagonal, whereas one judge may just say, oh, wrong posting diagonal, the other judge will say, hey, but they fixed it immediately.
Yes.
They showed that they knew they were on the wrong lead
Yep.
or the wrong diagonal,
Yeah.
or the horse got a little bit tense down the long
Yes.
side. The other judge goes, oh, but did you see that person flapping out their blanket in the bleachers?
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
I agree. Everything can be seen as a positive.
Yes, yeah, that's true. So we do have a horse in the ring right now that is stepping into canter at the incorrect time. The rider, the horse is not being dangerous. He's just being a little exuberant, and the rider is doing a gorgeous job with him. And so
Very tactful.
very, very
Handled
tactful.
it tactfully.
Yes.
Saw her
Yeah.
a couple minutes ago taking that circle.
That's correct. Yeah.
Dropped her whip. Totally
Yep,
allowed. She
absolutely.
had a whip, and that horse is allowed to have a whip. From the
Yep.
horse description list, we're given not just how to ride the horse, but also what tools that they
Yes,
might need to
exactly.
perform the best. So very mature decision on her part to go, well, I'm going to drop that whip.
That's
Maybe
right.
that's what's creating a little bit of this tension. Super mature and tactfully handled.
Yes, I agree. And as you notice when the camera pans down to the other end of the ring with the National Finals sign, there are no coaches down there. All of the coaches are comfortably separated by about 30
I
feet.
don't know if I'd say comfortably.
The show staff is comfortable with them being 30 feet away.
We are panicking down there.
Yes,
It is
yeah.
just as stressful. We want every rider out there
Yes.
to be successful.
Yeah, it's true. So although the coaches are not really allowed inside the show ring where our square is set up, there is staff at each gate. So if the if the coach feels that the rider that they have should have an alternate horse, they can ask them, and they will radio to the steward. So a rewrite is granted when a horse performs so poorly that the judge cannot score through the movements. I am confident that the canter instances that we had in the ring were discussed, and the discussion resulted in them leaving them in the class as is. The child is doing a beautiful, beautiful job with the horse, and even though the horse cantered when it wasn't supposed to, this is a walk track canter class, so it is not, and the
A
horse.
safety issue.
It's not really a safety issue, yeah. If it does become a safety issue, the stewards do stop the class and pull the horse and replace the horse. But on occasion, we have a horse that maybe is a little bit, a little bit exuberant, and that's sort of what we see in these group classes. The group classes, the DSE classes for dressage horses are new also.
They
We've got
are.
we've got horses in here that only do dressage tests at horse shows, and then this idea of a group class was introduced by the United States Dressage Federation. It's been a wonderful addition to the sport, but it is a different mindset for the horses, and so we have
Because
horses in
our
here.
warm-up at dressage shows aren't even 12 deep.
Yes, yeah.
If we've got a show that has 4 or 5 dressage courts going, we have 3 or 4
Yes.
warm-up
Yeah.
areas as well. Dressage people tend to like their space.
Yes.
And so,
Yeah.
these horses definitely come out here and they get excited
They
because they're
do
herd
get excited,
animals. And they're
yes.
like, we're cantering together, we're
Cantering,
trotting together. This
woohoo.
is great.
Yes.
And so for sure, it's new for them, and so we expect to see some excitement out there. I have some horses. We're now our 4th or 5th year into dressage for IEA, and I've got horses that they test only. So at our
Yes.
horse
Yeah.
shows, they are allowed to play in the DSE classes because they do just that. They play.
Yes, yeah, and we have some horses here. So the way our horse procurement works is we have a show staff that reaches out to teams and colleges and universities that are in the area and inquire about them providing horses to our horse show. And they are organized well ahead of time. And one of the questions that's asked of the horse provider is, what would your horse do best in? A lot of people say, "Oh, my horse can do everything. They can do every level," or maybe no, they can do every level but open, or every level but beginner. But most of the horses that we see are super versatile, and they can do really anything. But where would they excel? And while we have horses that could do a group class, would they excel in that group class? No,
Yes.
they're going to excel in the test classes.
And
So
we
we're
want
going
them to excel to give the riders the fairest opportunity to
Yes.
show their skill set. So they don't leave, especially here at National Finals, going, "Oh, my jaw,"
yes,
which is a pretty common
it is difficult. Yeah,
response from
Yes.
a youth rider, obviously. And yeah,
yeah. So it is. It's the other thing is that by keeping horses in classes where they do best, that is where they are happiest, and that's why we have happy horses coming out. So horses that don't want to be ridden in a group, so that every time they're in a group, their ride is unpleasant and they're having a hard time with it. After 4 days of that horse is probably going to be sick of those group classes, right? So
Yes.
by keeping them where we have the same thing at the other end of our building, we've got hunt seat going on. We've got some horses down there that will only jump. And we have some horses down there that will only flat. We have some horses that will only do walk trot. So it's really where does the horse fit best? Where are they happy? And that's what I try to explain to horse providers at our regular season shows. I pull horses from shows because those horses are clearly unhappy with their job, and we do not. And there's a variety of reasons why they might be unhappy, right?
yeah, they could be a little ulcery coming off of a long trip. They could be, just anything could happen, a little sore.
Yep,
And we want to keep
exactly.
them happy to come back again.
Yes.
So being able to recognize why are they unhappy,
Yeah.
what's happening,
What's going on?
allows us to pull it, fix the problem, so that they're happy to continue to do their job at a later date.
Yes. Yeah, so many horse providers, they feel bad when their horses are taken out of a horse show, and I just have to explain to them that is no, bring them to the next horse show. They were not dangerous. They were just, grinding their teeth, and they're unhappy. And so let's take them out. Let's figure out why they're unhappy. I have I have been at IEA shows where we have ended up with a horse pool that was quite small because taking a horse who is unsound or unfit for the job that they're
Does
doing
not
is
go
not
by 6
negotiable. You
o'clock.
take the horse
Correct.
out, even if that means you don't have enough horses, even if that means you cancel classes.
Yes.
The horses' needs come first above everything else. And if that means canceling the
And
second half of a
sitting
horse show
from
because you have no more
into
horses
the
left, then
canter
that's a learning experience, and we
department.
need to figure that one out. And we need to come back
Yes.
next time with more horses that are better fit for their job. So,
And we
um,
have the opportunity as a host to co-host with other teams.
yes,
And a
exactly.
lot of regions, we trailer horses to the other host team
Hmm.
shows. We share horses. We end up seeing a lot of the same horses going at each show. But that's what's required is just being able to
And
work
back to the bicycle
together
Yes,
club,
as region and
bicycle
as
club.
zones to ensure the horse well-being and that we have enough suitable
yes,
horses.
yes, exactly. So, talk a little bit
And back
about
to the walk.
this
And
class, the
exit
the
at
DSE class.
8:30.
What is it that the judges
We
are
will
looking
invite
for?
So for the
other six
DSE, so
drivers to
dressage
the
seat
area,
equitation, it's kind of
follow
in
the
the name.
directions of your
We are
service
definitely
officer.
looking that the riders are performing in a correct
Get your horse in the
position.
paddock
Okay.
That we talk about alignment. So what I'm looking for is shoulder, hip, heel alignment. The riders ride in dressage saddles, and how those differ from jump saddles is they are a little longer in the saddle flap. They've got a deeper seat, which allow for that leg to be longer, allowing the rider to use their seat and their leg in a more effective way. Whereas jump tack has a shorter saddle flap with that's set a little bit more forward. That allows for the rider to get up out of the tack into that 2-point position where we need to be to let the horses jump fairly and comfortably underneath us. So we're looking for that shoulder, hip, heel alignment. The judges, you might catch them kind of peeking down the wall, looking for that left right balance as well, that the riders are sitting evenly on their seat bones, that they're not leaning one way, which could negatively impact the horse's way of going. We're looking for lower leg
Expand the
stability.
arena
So as
nicely
we're
spread
watching
out
these
the
six come in to demonstrate their canter skill set, watch their legs. This group is showing to be quite
by
skillful.
the second
So
driver,
their
the
legs aren't
Exotra,
bouncing
followed
around a
by
lot. They're
the
not
Yeah.
swinging very much. So we want that leg to be quiet because a weak, busy leg could definitely ask the horse to canter
Yes.
incorrectly
Yeah.
or to go sideways. So that stability is quite important there.
Yes.
Um, in addition to the just position, because we don't want to create riders that are just stiff and stuck,
Hmm.
we look for, it's a big fancy word, that the rider is following the mechanics of the gait.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
their seat is following the horse's back, that their elbows are following the contact. They're not
Hmm.
braced against the horse's face. They're encouraging the horse to be comfortable.
Yes.
So that goes
and
along
riders
with the
are prepared to canter
effectiveness.
with
Can
a
they get
ready
these
but sitting in
transitions, the
front
correct
and into
diagonals,
the
the correct
canter
leads,
department.
ride their corners? We do want to see our riders riding the dressage square like they would in a
Hmm.
test. They need to be
Gotcha.
using their squares here in the or their corners here in the DSC, not cutting those corners and riding the ends like a circle.
Hmm.
So very impressed with this group of riders staying on the wall. I see some riding very
Let's
nice
come back to the
corners.
truck, please. Truck.
And then when there are bobbles that happen,
And walk,
we definitely are
please.
looking for the riders to tactfully handle that. A bobble in the dressage court isn't a death
And
sentence,
change the
so to
rein, please.
speak.
Hands
Some of
circle to the
us who
left.
kind of grew up in the hunt seat world,
Yes.
a wrong lead, a break, that could be a downfall
It
for
is.
sure.
Yeah.
Dressage, these judges, they want to see how'd you handle that tactfully.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you recognize that there was a problem and did you correctly and efficiently handle that
Hmm.
problem? And so it's a break or wrong lead isn't necessarily a drop to the end of the pinning order here in
Gotcha.
dressage, which is a great comfort for these
Yes.
riders that
Yes.
they really know they're coming out and showing their training that they
Hmm.
have had.
Yeah, it is true. It is true. All right, we are in our second group cantering at the moment. So the judges have already evaluated the first 6 horses. Now the second 6 horses are here in the ring, and they are being evaluated. And then the judges will excuse these 6, and then we will go right into an award ceremony for both the varsity intermediate test class as well as the DSE class.
And let's come back to the
So
trot.
this intermediate class, they do demonstrate the equivalent of a training level test.
Rising, this is the
In
rising trot.
the training level test, the canter transition does happen
make
out
the
of the
transition
trot.
to the
So
walk.
for our viewers who are switching back and forth between the hunter ring and the
Yes.
dressage ring, the hunter ring, those riders do execute the canter transition from the walk.
Yes, yeah.
Over here in dressage, they'll be asked to do it from the trot.
Okay.
And the expectation there is that the riders take a few steps of sitting trot, that they kind of collect the horse, they balance them, and prepare for that transition, and then showcase that canter transition. So if you can hear the announcer there, he'll say, you know, trot your horses, and or canter your horses. You'll see those riders taking a few moments to organize and prepare, and then canter. It's not an immediate transition. It's not expected to be.
Now, in dressage, is a canter directly from the walk, is that considered more difficult?
It is more difficult. It is. So we don't see that walk to canter until, I believe, second level,
Gotcha.
potentially even third level. It is very difficult. So we won't see that in IEA where they ask for the canter from the walk for
Gotcha.
dressage.
Okay. Yeah, and even, if you watch the hunters, even though they're asking them to canter from the walk, and that's the expectation, as you go down in levels, you do see more trotting. A couple of
Yes.
steps of trot prior to that canter.
Definitely.
And I think it's easier for some horses, right? So as we have some older horses in our novice level classes, those safe and sound horses, sometimes just by habit or by necessity, they have a trot step or two.
Yes.
And for our IEA riders, where they're riding a horse that horse is unfamiliar to them, their goal is to just continue to ride through that, right? Continue to hold a little bit of a half halt and keep their leg on to keep supporting that, so it doesn't turn into a trot, a really fast trot,
a really
right?
fast trot.
So, yeah. All right, so this class is complete. The judges did a beautiful job evaluating everybody. And we are going to go ahead. The riders are exiting, and our awards team is going to come in now and go ahead and provide some awards to these riders. And then we will go directly into a schooling of our novice and beginner horses. So we will have a short schooling break following the award ceremony, and then we will go back to our Intercollegiate Dressage Association classes.
Yes,
yeah.
So,
Yes, I agree.
no stealing
When
of
you
your
reach
job.
that place, or if you find yourself at national finals with a bunch of still on a stack, you would vote to have. I'm psyched.
All right, draw your attention down to the far end of the main arena here for our first of the awards in this award ceremony. And we have lined up for you here the Varsity Intermediate Dressage Test team winners, all of whom have their medals on. And great to welcome Colin Daly, Katie Scharf, and Myron Leff to the officials' party to congratulate them and make the awards presentations. We will begin with honorable mention and congratulations to the following 4 riders: Sienna Peterson, Addie Reed, Sadie Sterrett, and Anna Lee. Congratulations for making it to the Nationals. In 8th place for Duzan equestrian Emily Stanfield. In 7th place, Hidden Creek equestrians Caitlin Dietrich. In 6th place, RCR Farms Pemberley Wright. Gift certificate from the Healing Cowgirl. In 5th place, RGB's Arabella Ferris. Muzzle and boot towel from Horseplay Apparel. 4th place, Scottsdale Equestrians Estella Smith. And they get a pair of ARMA brushing boots from Shires Equestrian. Into 3rd place, Greer School's Deanna Julian. Aubrey and bridal cover and the Show Pony Apparel gift sets. And it is team day, so 2nd place, Spruce Valley Stables Marietta McGinnis. Custom drawstring backpack, $100 gift certificate to Troxel, and a gift certificate also generously donated by Cotton Candy to your winner. This is the Varsity Intermediate Test Team result. And taking the top award here from White Rock is Megan Mejia. Duratec padded helmet bag. Custom picture frame, equine design champion coupon, and as the highest placed junior, Megan is eligible for a $2,000 scholarship from Lake Erie College and a $1,250 scholarship from Everett University. And do we have the winning horse in the in-gate there? If you have Kaz, who helped Megan win this class, we'd love to have Kaz in the arena. Here comes little Kaz with the white blaze, wearing the beautiful Schneider's cooler. Megan waiting there for her new friend Kaz. Looking awfully sharp in that cooler. Megan, you got to promise me you'll take a bunch of carrots to Kaz's stall tonight. Congratulations, Megan Mejia and Kaz, the winning horse. And thank you to Otterbein University for sharing this wonderful little horse, Kaz, with us throughout the weekend. Much appreciated, along with all the other wonderful providers of horses. So we're going to move right on to our Varsity Intermediate DSE Team Awards next, so come right on in. Here they come. And our VIPs are stepping forward to meet them and congratulate them individually in the true spirit of the IEA. Katie, your president-elect on the board, putting the medals around their necks. All right, everybody has a medallion medal on their necks. So we would like to start by saying an honorable mention and many congratulations to the following 4 riders: Sadie Starrett, Camille Walkie, Anna Lee, and Avery Barwick. Well done for making it to the Nationals. Moving on to your top 8 now. In 8th place for Duzan Equestrian, Emily Stanfield. 7th place for Greer School, Ahana Latka. In 6th place, Hidden Creek Equestrians, Caitlin Dietrich. And she gets the gift certificate from Healing Cowgirl. Into 5th place, RGB Equestrians, Arabella Ferris. The muzzle and boot towel from Horseplay Apparel. 4th place, Spruce Valley Stables, Marietta McGinnis. A beautiful pair of brushing boots made by Arma out of from Shires Equestrian. 3rd place, RCR Farms, Pemberley Wright. Aubrey and bridal cover from Shires Equestrian and the Show Pony Apparel gift set from the Show Pony Apparel store. 2nd place is from White Rock, Megan Mejia. So she won the previous class and now she is 2nd. And she gets the custom drawstring backpack, $100 gift certificate from Troxel, and a $25 gift certificate from Cotton Candy. Now to your winner, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations. Las Vegas Blue Ribbon Dressage, Sienna Peterson. Duratec, a padded helmet bag from Schneider Saddlery. The custom picture frame from the IEA, Equine Design Champion coupon, and if that's not enough, she is also the highest placed junior and is eligible for a scholarship to Lake Erie College worth $2,000 and an Averett University scholarship worth $1,250. All right, we got the team picture, but we'd like to honor Cosmo, who Sienna Peterson rode in this class. That pretty little gray. coming into the arena with the Schneider's cooler, looking so cool. And we'll get a picture there of Sienna. Proud moment for the team from Las Vegas Blue Ribbon Dressage. And here comes little Cosmo to meet her new fast friend. These two did a little damage today. Congratulations, Sienna and Cosmo. And that is all she wrote on this one. Thanks again, Colin and Myron. Colin Daly, Myron Leff. Always great to see you guys clowning around in the arena.